Okay, so let's talk about the outbreak of the war. After the revolution and the April laws, the Batthyány government found itself in a tight situation. They were hoping that the uprisings in Vienna and in Italy, and the events at the German assembly in Frankfurt, would buy them some time to start building up an autonomous Hungary inside the empire. They managed to start printing Hungarian banknotes, the so-called Kossuth notes, which were a stable form of currency throughout the war. And also, the government called up an army of 10,000 militiamen, a force that would later become the Hungarian army, or the Honvédség. The relations with Vienna were still dubious, but it is sure that the government did not want to secede from the empire, this way keeping to the provisions of the Pragmatica Sanctio of 1723. The ethnic minorities in Hungary were also organizing their own nationalistic movements. In May 1848, the Slovaks, the Serbs, and the Romanians all held their own national assemblies, at which they demanded autonomy in their respective regions and rights to use their own language. However, the Hungarian government was unwilling to give in to these demands. An even more threatening case were the Croatians who, when the revolution broke out in Budapest, instantly sided with the court against Hungary. The imperial court appointed the Croatian general Josip Jelačić as Ban, or regent, of Croatia. Also, the National Assembly of Croatia, the Sabor, voted in favor of cutting all legal ties with the Kingdom of Hungary. During the summer of 1848, the Serbs started a civil war in the Delvidék as a way of fighting for their autonomy, but they were also agitated by the imperial court and the semi-independent Principality of Serbia. The bloody conflict, in which the Serb forces were assisted by the Austrians, lasted until the end of the War of Independence. In the wake of these events, Kossuth, in his famous speech on the 11th of July, asked the new parliament to set aside a budget to call up and arm 200,000 soldiers, which the parliament agreed to. In September, the tides turned in favor of Vienna. They had suppressed the revolution in Italy, and the Frankfurt Assembly had also finished, and thus they could focus their efforts in Hungary. They sent an ultimatum to the government demanding them to give up their independent banks and currency and to disband their army. The government did not agree to the terms, but the court did not want to give up their demands either, which led to a government crisis. Pál Esterházy resigned, Széchenyi had a nervous breakdown, and the whole government later resigned. In the midst of this cavalcade of events, the Croatian general Jelačić and his troops broke into Hungary on the 11th of September 1848, and thus the War of Independence broke out. Jelačić was on his way to Budapest to take over control from the Hungarians. So that the Hungarian army can be controlled effectively, a new executive organization, the National Defense Committee, or the Országos Honvédelmi Bizottmány, was set up with Kossuth as its president. In the first battle of the war, fought on the 29th of September near Pákozd, the newly assembled Hungarian army, commanded by János Móga, Mór Percel and Richard Guyon, defeated Jelačić's army. A part of the Croatian-Austrian army was later defeated in the Battle of Ozora by Artur Görgey and Mór Percel. After the defeat, Jelačić fled in the direction of Vienna with his army, with the Hungarian army in their footsteps. In October, the government was reformed, with Batthyány returning as prime minister. However, the court called the government illegitimate and demanded the parliament to disband. The Austrians were almost ready to dispatch forces to help the escaping Jelačić. However, the people of Vienna started a revolution to prevent the court from sending reinforcements. Jelačić crossed the border and went to Vienna. However, the Hungarian forces stopped at the border. The Defense Committee ordered Móga to cross the border and attack Vienna to take the city and help the insurgents. But Móga was faced with a controversial situation. If he crosses the border, he will face the troops of the king. His soldiers thus far had fought against Croatian intruders, but now they would have to fight against the very king they swore to fight for. By the time Olga decided to launch the attack, Prince Windisgrätz had already rallied all his troops and merged with Jelačić's army. At the Battle of Schwechat just outside Vienna, on the 30th of October, the Hungarian forces suffered a defeat in a battle that could have been a turning point in the war. After the battle, Windisgrätz suppressed the revolution in Vienna and then went on the counterattack. Even though this battle was lost, one general had shown his incomparable talents. This was Artur Görgey. Görgey, who many historians consider the greatest Hungarian general in history, had been an up-and-coming chemical engineer before volunteering to join the army in July 1848. He gained his fame when he sentenced the traitor Count Ödönszicsi to death for fleeing to the Croatians and smuggling anti-Hungarian propaganda letters, and also when he successfully commanded his troops at the Battle of Ozora. After the defeat of Schwechat, Kossuth appointed Görgey as the general of the Upper Danube Army Corps. Görgey's military talents will be more than essential in keeping the hopes of a victory alive.